On Demand Overview and Review. Valdosta On Demand is a rideshare service offered by the city of Valdosta for its citizens, right? It's only $2 a ride. It starts like 5:30 in the morning, I think, until 9 o'clock at night on weekdays. Really an excellent service. I used it for the first time a couple of days ago, and I was really impressed. Normally, I walk everywhere. Got into an accident that totaled my vehicle and walk everywhere. I thought it'd be great exercise, but with me getting older, I don't know what the deal is. And maybe the shoes that I'm wearing, but sometimes I end up in a lot of pain, and it takes 12 hours sometimes for me to get back and forth. So I decided on this past Friday, hey, let me go ahead and try it out. I was scared at first because I was like, it says $2, but I don't believe that. But it is. They do charge you just $2. You just need your card. And the experience on Friday was amazing. The lady's name that drove was Jeanette. Professional, nice, car seemed clean, no weird smells, nothing weird, right? Picked up another one passenger on the way back. It was great experience. On the way back, she had a passenger. It was a child and a mom. Then she went up to pick another one up on the way back. It was a really good experience, right? So I said, I'll try it again. So today I took a risk. I have other stuff that I need to do today, but I took a risk and I said, well, let me try it, because I needed to make sure that I had food available, because food is a real thing until you come to a point where you're just like, I'm hungry, and you're trying to find something to eat and you're not able to find a place. Then you realize that, you really need to have that in place no matter what. So I went ahead and I went to make a trip to Wally World to pick up some light groceries. And everything was pretty good. And the last vlog that I did, I started talking about how, interpersonal skills and the way people perceive you, and the reason that people perceive you that way, or the reason that they interact with you a certain way. So, me on my way back, waiting for the rideshare, vlogging, whatever, passing time. The rideshare person was right next to me. I was literally in front of this person's car and did not realize it, because I'm standing underneath the Walmart sign where you're supposed to stand. So I looked and I see her and I'm like, hey, that's a rideshare. She was sitting there idle, car turned off. She immediately turned on the car and pulled off. Looked at me and rolled her eyes and pulled off. Yes, she did. And I was panicking because I was like, do I scream for her? Do I go to the app and say, hey, you missed me? Or look at the app. The app didn't say the ride was canceled. She obviously saw me. She decided that she was going to keep going, right? Or start going, because she wasn't keeping going because she wasn't going to begin with. So, I decided to call Valdosta On Demand. I found the number, called them, spoke to a woman named Karen. And she was like, but our app is showing she's still there. But ma'am, yeah, she was here. She was here. I was standing right in front of her, and she might still be here in this parking lot somewhere. But she moved away from the location where she was supposed to pick me up at. And she is now somewhere, where I can't see her, intentionally, because she saw me. She saw me. She drove off intentionally and rolled her eyes at me, looked me in my face and rolled her eyes at me as she did it. And so then, as I'm talking to this person, coincidentally, whose name is Karen, whose name is probably not Karen, because I knew I was calling overseas somewhere because there was an accent, she then says to me, no, she's still there. I said, she may be, but her goal of her being here is not to pick me up, because she was where I was. She saw me. We made eye contact, and she kept it moving. And she's somewhere now where I can't see her. Not only that, but now she's moving away from the pickup point. I see it saying she's 1 minute away, then 2 minutes away. So eventually she calls this person back, and the person comes out like 20 minutes later, right? Now this person comes back, and I'm thinking, okay, no problem. We missed each other, but I'm about to get my stuff and go on home. So the next situation, this person's name is Tiffany S. The next black girl, long black weave, probably 35, something like that, right? But so nothing special, nothing. So she comes back, and I didn't notice her at first. I'm thinking, for sure she knows that I'm under this Walmart sign. She knows what Walmart sign is, because she was there under the Walmart sign before too. But she parks all the way down by the auto care section, She gets out the car, opens all the doors. So at first I see the car and I see this emblem on them, and I'm thinking, okay, it's a handicap emblem, something. But no, she goes and she opens all the doors, and I'm like, that's the same girl. So, I started to say something. I'm not a screaming person. I think she could see that I'm not a screaming person unless you scare me, I'm screaming. So, I see that what she's planning on doing is walking around the car and jumping back in the car as if she never saw me. So I'm like, hey, you're my ride. So I catch up to her. And at first I'm thinking she's opened all the doors because she's helping me because I have a bag to bring in with the groceries. But no, she closes all the doors and happily gets back in the car. Not only that, Tiffany S., black girl, probably about my height, big long ass weave down her back. Not a cute long ass weave, just a bedraggled weave. She gets back in the car. I get in. And, so I'm talking to now Ray in customer service, let him know that, hey, the car's gotten here. Just let y'all know that it's here. But it's like 20 minutes after. So it took a whole hour after. It normally doesn't do that. So then she proceeds to drive, but we're going in the opposite direction of where I live. Now, it's a ride share, so it can't be expected. But what the ride share shows when there's other riders. There's not other riders. She's just being crazy. She's driven off into the boonies somewhere. And at this point, I still have Ray on the phone. So I said, do you see any other riders scheduled with me on this ride? And he's like, no, there's no other riders. But as soon as he says that, this little boy gets in the car. It looks like he's between 8 and 12. So I'm like, okay, forget it. I don't know what's going on as long as I get home. So I hang up the phone. I say, okay, it's all right. No problem. So I hang up the phone, but too much too soon. Because then I'm thinking, are these kids allowed to be riding by themselves like that? But then I'm thinking, okay, maybe it's her son. But I'm like, is it a real ride or is it just one of her friends that she told to get in the car with her? And the next thing we know, we go to another location. And again, there's no other riders scheduled to this ride. And we just sit there. And it's like, to me, I get the feeling she's just doing this intentionally. She's just sitting there. And then she cancels the ride, which, I don't know if there was a ride or not. But eventually we get on my way back to home. I see streets I recall. So I'm like, ma'am, I think you passed by my street. And she's like, oh, yeah. Is that book, XX drive or XX place? And I'm just like, you have it on your Google Maps. What is your problem? So she's intentionally just being an ass. And the little boy, he makes a face as we get to, and I'm like, my house is right here. He makes some weird face. So I'm like, oh, excuse me, I'm breathing all over you, blah, blah, blah. So that was an awful experience. And the thing about Valdosta on Demand, like I said, it is convenient, $2. What you gonna do, But you can't request to not ever have a driver again. So the way that it works, and now I understand what was going on. Because on that first ride, the girl, like I said, the very first ride that I had on Friday, best, professional, all of that. The first ride I had this morning, I made it there on time, but the lady I didn't know at first because I had my earphones on. She was on this loud personal conversation on the phone with somebody. And it was just kind of ghetto, loud music. I didn't realize it because I had my earphones on, but when I took it out because I didn't know if she was talking to me, so I pulled my earphone out to see what was going on. That's when I realized it. But I'm like, okay. Then she was complaining about how some boy had requested a ride and canceled a ride twice. And now I know why, because you can't request that a driver not be assigned to you. It's based on whoever's available. So you have to keep canceling that driver. So that's what he's doing. He's picking up the ride and he sees it's her. He don't want her, so he cancel her. That's what he's doing, And then talking back about presents, I talked about how in Walmart, the young man was all good. And so at the end, like I said, I got kind of frantic because, I'm trying to meet my own deadline that I set for myself. And he was like, oh, behavior was like, I want nothing to do with that, and that's basically the same thing with this girl. The first girl that drove this morning, nothing really wrong with her, but she had so many other things going on in that car. You know what I'm saying? She had her music on, had a conversation going on about every little thing, private stuff. And I don't even know if the person realized there was, the whole bunch of strangers in the car with her, listening to their conversation. But dang, so it's nothing really wrong with her, but I see by the demeanor and, the presence, that wasn't really optimal. I don't want to be in that type of environment. You know what I'm saying? And so that's the same thing when people are coming into contact with me. Like I said, the young man at first, Walmart, great experience, but then he saw that I was frantic towards the end and he was like, oh, no, nothing to do with that, and that's the same thing with that girl. She got me where I was going to go. She got me there in a timely fashion, nothing out of the way, but I really didn't want to be exposed to her personal conversation. and all that crazy music. And the third girl, it was just like the three ghosts of Christmas, present, past, and future, whatever. The very first ride, pristine. Second ride, it was okay. The third ride was absolute craziness. Shit was intentional. Loud ass music, ghetto ass stuff, whatever kind of perfume or scent she had on, and then just leaving because she wanted to leave. No. So, but those are just my genuine experiences. So Valdosta on Demand overall, I give it maybe a C plus, a good rating because it gets you where you're going. If you're in a hurry, you got to get there. You get there, and really, you basically can say it's free. It's $2 per ride. Anywhere in Valdosta. And the hours are pretty good, 5:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. And the only thing, like I said, sometimes there may be other riders. It's a little weird, but I haven't had that situation really, really yet. And sometimes you have drivers that's just a little bit off, but that's how it's going to be from time to time. But overall, I give it a C plus. You can't request not to have a driver ever. You can request it. They'll put it in the notes, but it doesn't mean it won't happen. It's based on whoever's there. So, but I think overall it's okay. I just hope I never had that experience again. And I knew it was too good to be true. Every time I have a really, really good experience, something happens. It's like, wait. That was just too good. You can't have it that good. But overall, it's all right.